Hello, everyone. I am going to be taking a short break from answering questions just to make a little bit of a PSA. Um, I've been answering questions. I've been taking the month of February to just answer questions that people send me on Slack or WhatsApp or LinkedIn. Because I posted on all of these channels, all my professional groups, that hey everyone, for this month I would love to pivot away from my personal anecdotes, and the month of February I'm trying to get some outside voices. So what that means is you guys can ask me questions, right? I want your questions rather than me sort of sharing my anecdotes. I want you all to, the floor is yours. Ask questions from me, and I'll answer them on the podcast. And then also, if you want to be featured on my podcast, I'm allowing people to sign up, and we're working on dates and whatnot. So some of the questions so far have been really thoughtful, but I think in the future I've been selective so far, but I'm going to get even more selective with the questions that I take, just because I want the questions to add more layers to me. I want them to add more dimensions. And some of the questions all of them are good. I don't want to criticize any of the questions, but some of them they don't really push me forward, if that makes any sense, right? So I think one question was, what's the most impressive company you've interviewed at? See, that question, if I just answered it, I would just say Amazon, right? That's not an insightful question, because I choose to elaborate, right? Like, I choose to answer the question first of all. So, I mean, that's, I don't think it was a bad question. But then I have to elaborate on my end. And I feel that if they were phrased or framed a little better, it could really help me give you guys the information that you need, right? So, for example, rather than ask what's the coolest company or whatever I've interviewed at, what would be a better question is maybe what's the most competitive company you've interviewed at, and could you tell us a little bit more about how you did in the interview process, how you got the interview in the first place. I mean, did you just apply? Did you get a referral? And how did you feel afterwards? Whether or not you got an offer, like, how did you feel? I would like questions like that are sort of full life cycle. Or if someone asks me, what's the best school to go to for a certain field, rather than ask me, what's the best school in the tri-state or the Northeast for IT, you should ask me, what's the best school for studying IT and why? Like, why do you think that? That would give you guys some more insight into my thought processes. It's not to say that I even know the answer. I don't. I'd probably just say MIT or some popular, well-known school, just because I think that's probably the most correct answer. Or NJIT. NJIT is, I don't want to say MIT on a budget, but it's a really good school for the price. But yeah, so that's how I would rather the questions be framed, as sort of not just yes/no questions. I think one question I'm going to answer soon is, hey, Mohammad, have you ever had a hard job interview? Of course I have, okay? And I mean, the answer is either going to be yes or no, but like I would prefer you elaborate and say, hey, Mohammad, what's the hardest job interview, and what made it hard, and what was the job, right? Like, what, that will also tell you sort of where in my career was I, was it early in my career? Was it towards the middle? Was it recent? So, yeah, I'm not saying that I'm the expert or some sort of coach for Q&A etiquette, but I'm hoping that the questions I get moving forward will help me take a deeper dive into who I am, what is my background, and my experiences. Because when you ask questions that are very superficial or very quick, I have to then elaborate and explore a little bit. But I would rather you guys kind of tell me what you're looking for, and then I'll also do some guesswork on my end, because at the end of the day, I want the purpose of the Q&A is to answer questions where the responses will help other people. If I'm getting questions and some of them are like yes and no, I'm like, I think another question I got recently was, hey, Mohammad, have you ever fired someone? Yes, I have. But like, you maybe ask me, why did you have to fire them? Like, why was that the only option? Or how did you feel about it? Like, how did you approach it, and how did you feel after? Right? How did that maybe affect you in the future when it came to termination? Stuff like that. So these are just a couple of examples, and this is by no means a criticism. I don't want to criticize because I don't want to scare people off, or I don't want to turn them off to asking questions in the future. All the questions that have gone so far have been great. I am just trying to make some suggestions on how they could be better. So that is the end of my my little PSA. Thank you.